So Elon Musk is in real trouble this week as the EU just opened a formal probe on his company. It says here, Elon Musk X probed by EU over sexually explicit images on Grok. And basically he's facing a possible ban, major fines. He's already been banned from 2 countries, which was news to me. I knew of Indonesia, but I guess also Malaysia has banned this Grok thing. And it's over deepfakes. So basically, you're using people's images without consent, and then in Musk platform, you're declothing people, right? Making them do any number of things. I'm sure you guys get the idea. And also involves children. So basically, Musk platform is filled with that kind of content, mustache party kind of stuff, plus child content. I think the phrase he uses is CSAM, I think is the phrase, and then also non-consensual stuff. It is bad. And I think Musk is also getting sued by one of his baby mamas. There's that story also. And then this thing with the EU, they could go any number of ways because every country is going to have different regulations on this stuff. So let's go through it together and also share some other market news because it's all related. So first it says, the EU launched a formal investigation into Elon Musk's XAI following a public outcry over how its Grok chatbot spread sexualized images of women and children, right? And then Musk, he always says, I don't care about that kind of stuff. I'm all about free speech, whatever. And this is actually a major hit on him because his technology is behind everyone else's, So the way that he differentiates himself is like, well, we're all about free speech and you can make non-consensual images all that you want. You make children, images all you want, that kind of stuff. So he like, on his platform, he has less guardrails because that's the only thing that really separates his from the others, and his is far behind, right? So that's my opinion on that. And when you read through the stuff, it says this from the EU. The probe announced on Monday under the EU's Digital Services Act, so they also called the DSA, will assess if XAI tried to mitigate the risks of deploying Grok's tools on X and the proliferation of content that, quote, may amount to child sexual abuse material. Non-consensual sexual deepfakes of women and children are a violent, unacceptable form of degradation. That's coming from the EU. With this investigation, will determine whether X has met its legal obligations under DSA or whether it treated rights of European citizens, including those of women and children, as collateral damage on its service. And I mentioned before, Malaysia and Indonesia has banned it already, which I knew about Indonesia again, but I didn't know about Malaysia. And this was the thing here. It says it just came out just like I think it was like a week or so ago. Malaysia blocks Grok amid uproar over non-consensual sexualized images. Also here, this is a quote from them in Malaysia. In response to the regulatory notices issued last week, X, quote, focused primarily on user-initiated reporting mechanisms and failed to address the inherent risks that arise from design and operation of the AI tool. So the idea would be that, I guess, if you put an image out there, if another user reports it, then, X will know about it and maybe take it down or whatever, opposed to designing your software to just not generate those kind of images. I'll give you another example. So let's say you wanted, whatever chatbot that you're using, and you say, hey, I want to build a certain kind of weapon, or I want to do a certain kind of, act, be it to other people or myself, and the bot and the chatbot could be like, I'm just not going to help you with that kind of stuff. I'm not going to talk to you, that kind of thing. Like you can put guardrails in place, or you tell it to, take this photo and make it, manipulate in an inappropriate way, I guess you could say it, or violent way, however you want to describe these things. And the bot that could just I just don't do that kind of stuff. So Elon Musk, again, chatbot has less guardrails than others. And I want to put this in context because what's going on right now, there's real fears of an AI bubble. I've told you guys this several times on the channel, and you'll see various signs of it popping. So in the Musk situation is, hey, we need the money. We'll let our chatbot, have free reign and that kind of stuff. This just also came out today. SoftBank halts talks to buy data center firm Switch and blow to Sun's Stargate ambitions. And what they were doing, Donald Trump made this big announcement. I think this might have been maybe even a year ago already. It was OpenAI, it was Oracle, and SoftBank, and they're all saying, hey, we're going to make these like massive, awesome data centers. We're going to call them Stargates, and we're all going to be rich, etc. But the money isn't there. There's only so many people that are willing to pay for this stuff. And that's what it actually boils down to for anything in the market. Sure, you can pump up the stock, and that's what Elon does, and say the situation of Tesla. But ultimately, it's going to catch up to you if people aren't walking through the door and buying your products. The same way, say, I can give out, the free AI software, and you can generate all your images. And every time you generate an image, if you guys do this kind of stuff, it uses processing power somewhere, right, wherever that data center is. It uses power somewhere, right, wherever that power is being generated, and you're not paying for it. So somebody is, right? It's not just like free energy and free compute, like someone's paying for it. And in fact, a lot of these companies are losing money. And so the trick is they're trying to get you addicted to their service so that you're willing to pay a monthly fee, or make it so that, Musk situation, trying to get government contracts. So then you have a bunch of like captured users that way, or trying to make deals with companies, and the companies then all sign up all of their employees. So that's sort of like a big theme in the market these days. It's very interesting. We read a story about this before, to where the data centers, this was just yesterday, the data center people, the quote was like, if we're going to spend billions on building data centers, we might as well spend millions on lobbying, right? So to get policies in place so that we can build these things. And right at the moment, there's a lot of public backlash about having data centers in your backyard. So this just also came out today. Trump's return supercharges lobbying revenues. So basically, if you're in the lobbying business and you're into, building ballrooms with Trump and bribes and that kind of stuff, your business is good. And it described it here as pretty interesting. They're talking about, I'll read it. It says, according to disclosures filed last week, Trump's wide-ranging policy upheavals across trade, tax, healthcare, tech, defense, energy boosted the bottom lines of almost every one of K Street's biggest lobbying firms. So basically revenues up at these places. They said 13 of the largest firms, 20 firms by revenue, reported growth of 10% or more compared to 2024. So there's always been money going into this kind of stuff, but even more so with Trump, because people, there's a couple things going on with all the crazy tariffs. People are looking to buy out a carve out, right? Buy out a benefit, like, oh, well, there was a tariff on, we'll say, bananas, but your company made some sort of deal, and then therefore you get the special exemption, right? That kind of stuff. Or if you lobby to the Trump people, you can get some sort of pardon. That's what a lot of people have been trying to go for, especially white collar pardons. Or you're trying to get government contracts. And I know that a lot of people don't pay attention to this kind of stuff. You just, pay attention to other things, because this isn't like sexy news or anything, lobbyists, but it matters. It affects your life like a lot, be it who gets the money and where does the money flow. And I always say the same thing when you look at this kind of stuff. This is why life doesn't get better in USA when you have certain kind of interests, right? Not necessarily in the public interest, but in interests of people like Elon Musk or what otherwise. Remember, I told you guys in the beginning that Elon Musk wants to differentiate himself by saying, hey, my bot can do all these kind of stuff, so please buy my service. The money's drying up, though, with the consumers. So, for example, this was the headline today, and it relates to Tesla also. Auto executives are hoping for the best and planning for the worst in 2026. And there was an interesting chart here in CNBC that basically this would be car sales per year. Back in the mid 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, right? Looks like we were selling about 17 million vehicles, something in that nature in the USA. Put it in context, I think Canada, I think your guys' market is like maybe 1.8, 1.9 million. I think that's something like of that nature. But at the moment, if you look at last year, I guess it was 16.3 million cars. So it's under what it was, And I think there's any number of ways you could read this. One, cars are really, really expensive. I think the last time I looked at average or median price of car, it's like $50,000 or something like that. It's like ludicrously expensive. And also cars are more efficient and they last longer these days. When I was a kid, just, I don't know, I the average life when I was a kid, I had to say, it just wasn't, it's not what it was today. I'll use the example of miles. I remember when it used to be like a car, for when it made 100,000 miles, like, wow, that's pretty good, right? But these days, like a lot of the modern cars can make it 100, 200,000. Sometimes people say, you've had like a Toyota or something like that goes 300. I'm not sure if cars make 400,000. That's probably pretty crazy, but over 100,000 miles isn't unheard of anymore. And so I think those things really slow the auto sales. And then again, the cost. And then if the economy takes a dive, plus work from home, which I think is a really big one, and you just don't need to drive that much. And, people reassess if it's worth it to, have a car anymore. Also, because you have Uber is another good example. This hurts, right? So there's a combination of factors, and you put this together with, say, just the market of, say, autos, and then the bubble in AI. And Musk is in both of these, realms, and he's not the leader in either of these. I think he's in real trouble. And then, which is really interesting, the leader, there's rumors that they may or may not be going bankrupt / run out of money by 2027. This is an opinion piece, but there's a bunch of stuff out there that came out the last week or so. I haven't had a chance to talk with you guys about this one because there's just been so much going on in the news. But yeah, that's the story. It says, this is what convinced me OpenAI will run out of money. And this relates to Musk because basically, is the business model of the chatbot even profitable at all? So let's say Musk evades his lawsuit or whatever lawsuit, but probe. And I think EU was looking for 6% of their, they called it turnover, but I think it's their revenue. I have it right here. Well, just trust me on this. I have it. It's like 6% of their, they refer to turnover in the EU, but it's basically revenue. But the point is, though, if he hits it with the fine, and already OpenAI is struggling with turning a profit, and the soonest I think OpenAI said they're going to profit is like 2029 or 2030, which may not actually even happen. It's a real problem because the ultimate question is, will consumers be willing to pay for said things? And then the other avenue that Musk is trying to do is robots, right? He says, we're going to be the best robot company in the world. Well, this news just came out this week. This is here in Korea. I'll read it. Hyundai Motor Union opposes Atlas robot deployment in factories. Because, of course, the union's going to oppose it, right? The Hyundai, or Boston Dynamics, I should say, because Hyundai acquired Boston Dynamics, they had a really good presentation at CES. And they said, hey, eventually we're going to get our robots in the factory. I think it was like either next year or the year after that. And, Hyundai doesn't play. They're just, if they say they're going to do it, they're going to put it. How does it mean how many? And they're talking about the humanoid ones. But obviously the workers' unions aren't going to like it. And this is just an early indication. If Musk tries to pull this crap of like, hey, we're going to put robots everywhere, there's going to be real backlash, the same way that there's already backlash against data centers. So that's what's going on. Musk's earnings report for Tesla comes out this week. I'll probably live stream it because it's always fun to listen to Musk because essentially what you're watching is when is the house of cards going to collapse. And, every now and then you get these kind of like major probes and, we'll see what happens with this one. I don't make any predictions on this one other than it's a sinking ship and just trying to figure out like how soon it's going to sink. So that's my thoughts on this. I'd like to hear yours, and I'll catch you all in the next video.